In the early days, because I was only 18 when I started, not really taking my job seriously, not turning up, being unreliable, not turning up for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, on the phone with Ray, and I'd be like, oh, I'm coming. I had no intention of going. You're 18 and all you've had in your life was your paper money and some pocket money from your mum and dad, and then you're doing like 1,500 quid jobs, and then they're paying you, and then you're going, I've got 1,500 quid here, I'll go and spend that, and then what I'll do is that bill's not due for 30 days. By the time 30 days is up, I'll have earned some more money. So eventually it catches up with you because I didn't stop doing that. I was still spending the money I was getting. And at the end of the year, it was like, yours 1,500 quid down. I was like, I've not got it. Before the YouTube channel, like I said, difficult, but you just got to think, well, I've got a family to feed. So that's your main motivation, is just keep the bills paid. Now and that for me is the main motivation, to keep doing it. A video for everyone, and it's just finding that right audience, and if hopefully YouTube pushes it to that, but sometimes it doesn't, and you put your heart and soul into that one video you think is going to do really well, and it flops, because when somebody's running at you, effing and jeffing at you, you've got to be able to calm them down and talk to them and most of the time I was good at that.
What about you, and welcome to the Roots to Revenue podcast. In the studio today we've got Daniel Hibbert, but before Daniel introduces himself, let me tell you about the sponsor. The channel is sponsored by Jobber. Jobber is my go-to schedule. It gets me paid faster. My customers like it. But if you're a busy business owner and you don't have any time, that's where Jobber really excels, because it'll help you get more done. There's so many things in your business you can automate. Now, if you want to check it out, there's going to be an exclusive link down in the video description.
To get your exclusive Premier Lawns discount, it's premierlawns.link/jobber. So, Daniel, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, once you've tripped over your tongue and put it back in. I'm Daniel Hibbert. I'm from Bolton, Lancashire, not Greater Manchester. I was born in Lancashire, whereas Bolton is now in Greater Manchester, but I'm not from Greater Manchester. I'm from Lancashire. But I was born in Bolton, obviously, and I lived in a place called Tongmore, grown up there. Born into a house which is 100 yards from where Nat Lofthouse, the old Bolton legend striker, had his first pub.
You're a big football fan?
Yeah. If you're going to see me anywhere, it'll be at the Bolton matches. Initially, when I first left school, 3 years before leaving school, we had an extension done at our other house where we moved to. And we had this cool joiner who had permed, blonde, wore jeans for a living, T-shirt. So I was all set on being a joiner. That's what my first careers advisor kind of interview was. And then when my mum and dad split up in the mid-90s, we had to just spend a day in the garden doing it up to sell the house. And that's when I knew then I was kind of born to do the gardening side of things. So straight from leaving school, went to Myerscough College and Bolton College, where I got, and worked at a nursery called Arthur Nurseries, where I got my qualifications in the plants, but not only plants, the grass, everything else, like a general landscaping kind of qualification. And the plan was always to go self-employed as soon as I finished there, because I remember when I was 14 working on the Amiga on Deluxe Paint. Remember designing my logo, DH Garden Maintenance. I'd already called myself DH Garden Maintenance when I was 14. So as soon as I left the nursery, got Princess Youth Business Trust loan from Prince Charles at the time. I had to jump through a load of hoops there, because I wasn't the brightest of the bunch from school, because I got held back at school with bullies and stuff, so I didn't really fulfill potential. So I had to go for these business courses, which was really hard work, and somehow I got through it, and I got £3,000 to buy a new van. From that, I just got some customers, because I was doing customers on the side, because I was into the lawns during my school time and whilst working at the nurseries. So I had a few customers, and one only till about 10 years ago I still had from when I was 16. So that's a general thing. And then I just set up on my own, doing the gardens, general garden maintenance. And then about 10 years ago, went like kind of full-time heavy on the lawns.
What services did you initially offer?
First of all, it was literally everything and anything. I didn't really have any skills in laying patios or anything. After a few years of some customers that I got, they were like, oh, can you do a patio? I was like, I'll give it a go if you don't mind me learning on your time. And they did, and found I could do it. So it was weeding, lawn care, trimming edges, power washing, you name it, anything and everything. So it was that. But that was when you're fit and healthy and young, you can do these things. But as I've got older, I've decided to come away from that, and this is where we find ourselves today on your channel, because of the changes that I made. So
how many years in total, roughly, have you been involved in horticulture, lawn care?
Well, since I was 14, if you like. What's that? 31 years now. I think I can call myself time served.
I can identify with that. And back in the early days, people treat you different? Did you find people treated you differently because you were younger? Or did people, were you just judged on your ability?
No, I think what I did was, I think for any business starting, what I didn't want to do was just get some flyers printed, like some general flyers you get through the door, which just said gardens tidy from a tenner, because I did have lawn skills back then. And my front lawn, looking back now, it's probably not the best one, but it used to turn heads, so that's where I got my customers from. So what I did was, I went to Staples and I bought some really nice watermarked paper, some really nice watermarked envelopes, and did a little letter and just said, I'm new out of college, just start my own business. I'm really keen into lawn care. I can do anything you want. Posted them on certain estates where I wanted to work. And the work just came from there. It was only like 2 years ago that I lost one of those because they moved, because they're obviously 25 years later, they're old and the houses were too big. So that first customer I still had. That just shows you that if you put that effort into that first flyer, if you like, or letter, it just goes a long way than just blending in with all the takeaway menus and stuff like that.
It's amazing how long customers can stick with you.
Yeah, that's it. So there is, and in the early days, because I was only 18 when I started, I was just like a university kind of student, if you like. So I was not really taking my job seriously, not turning up, being unreliable, not turning up for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, on the phone with and I'd be like, oh, I'm coming. I had no intention of going. But still to this day, I've still like the sheep job, which you'll see on my channel. They were sort of like, I've still got them, but I'm leaving there this year because they're moving. But I've still got them, I'll never know, because I just never ever turned up. But they must have seen something when I did turn up to keep me on. But yeah, people say there is no loyalty, but there is. I think it's a two-way street. But I think the two things you want to be in a business is if you can offer reliability, because that's what customers, they're not bothered at the price. Some, obviously not ridiculously expensive, but if you're reliable and turn up when you say you're going to, that's enough. That's all they want.
Have you ever employed any staff, or has it always just been yourself in the
business?
business?
I've always had a couple of friends who I've been able to call upon who've also in the gardening sector to help me, but I don't really want to get involved with taking staff on, to be honest. I'm not a leader. I'm kind of just in my own little world, and the minute I'd have to start taking people on and finding work for people, I think I'd find it too hard and get too stressed out. So for me, just staying as I am, I think when people ring me up and say, can we employ you, they want to employ me, not somebody else. So if you hire a tiler because you've seen his work, and then his apprentice knocks on the door on the Monday morning, you've kind of missold yourself. So I just want to, if people want me, that's what they get.
And what made the switch from general gardening more into the lawn care niche?
Fell out with my friend who used to help me on all the jobs. We just had a little bit of a tiff, and we've not spoke since. And he was the main reason I could do all the weeding, because two men on a job, it just goes a lot quicker, because weeding on your own can be a bit depressing, especially in the rain. When lockdown came, we had this fallout. I got back onto the YouTube channel because I was on there 7 years ago, like 3 years before that, but it just didn't work out because I wasn't getting the views, so I kind of give up, and I got back into it. And then
back then, were you doing general gardening as well?
I was climbing, like in the winter we'd be cutting hedges, climbing up towers, like scaffolding towers, which we hired out, and I'd be running up there all day, get down at the end of the day, you're knackered, and all you're getting is like 120 quid. There's got to be more, there's got to be a better way to kind of make a living than doing this. And then the YouTube came, and then it just grew from there, really. And then as I'm getting older, I've got a glass back, and it's not getting any better. So I just thought, I've got to come up with a way to find a new way of making income.
You did initially, a long time ago, make videos, and then you stopped. What was the reason for starting and what was the reason for stopping?
It was a Howard and Charlie customer, which is quite a drive from my house. So he'd seen where I'd won Britain's best lawn, and he said, I want that. So he rang me, and he said, I'm in Charlie. I was like, oh, it's a bit of a drive, that, because it's 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back. And he said, don't worry about that. I'll cover your diesel and cover your time for travelling. I was like, if you'll do that and let me film, because I'm just thinking about filming my work, because I just got onto Twitter at that time. So I was big on there, and I was just exploring avenues. I didn't really think it was going to be the kind of make like the nucleus of a new life. So that's why I got into it on there. So I started in the videos, but then I was only getting like 2,000 views for the first video, because I didn't understand how to change thumbnails and things like that. So it wasn't appealing to viewers. So then on the second video, I only got 1,000 views, and then the part 3, I got 500 views, and then part 4, I got 250 views. And I was like, well, I'm obviously not captivating the audience here, and they're not coming back to see the follow-up. So I just thought...
But you just got disheartened?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I was still doing... And it was never meant to be anything more than that job. So I fulfilled that job, and that was it, done.
And did you find you got much work from those videos? Did you get any work from those videos at all?
No, not really, because that job's tucked away, so you don't really get any passing trade from that. But again, I was always particular on who I took on. I'm not just somebody... If you pull me over because you see me and you'll say, oh, can you come and do mine? That's not... You're not getting me because you've seen my work. You're just pulling me over because I'm pushing a mower on the side of the road. I need to feel wanted, and that was the thing with Britain's Best Lawn with Keith. He's died now.
Tell us about how you won that competition, how that came about.
Yeah, so I first got that job because I was working at another job and they'd seen it. And Keith rang me and he in his London accent, he went, Dan, I've heard you the best, mate. Yeah, I've heard you the best. I want you to come and do mine. And he just really buttered me up. So I went and just loved the garden and said yes. We renovated what we had. And then in 2013, he then had all the garden landscape. The lawn was still as it was, but because they put all new levels in, it didn't marry up with the new garden. It was all wavy. And then I think one year we just had a bad batch of compost and we got a load of annual meadow grass. It was just literally a beautiful lawn, and then overnight it just got took over. And then in the winter as well, we got a big outbreak of snow mould after a bout of snow. We said the only way to do it is to dig it up. So we dug it up. And it was that year we did that his wife saw in the paper the article for Britain's Best Lawn, some of the winner. So they said, oh, you should enter it next year. And then next year we dug it up, did it. And then the following year, because it was like brand new and singing.
It looked really well.
Yeah, that's where we won it, yeah. And that just elevated me onto a new level of kind of authenticity and knowledge. Like, people couldn't argue with the fact that I'd won Britain's Best Lawn, so it just kind of gave me a bit
as
of
well
a head start.
The confidence bits from that.
Yeah. I mean, I were in the paper on my birthday in the Daily Express. Albeit, the funny story was they stitched me up because they put this picture in of me like this, winning Britain's Best Lawn, but all the way around it was the crime section. So there was all kinds of things. Robert does this, and I'm stood there like this. Other crimes, murderer does this, and I'm stood there like this. So I'll never, ever do anything for a newspaper ever again, because you just get stitched up.
Did you get much business from winning that award?
No, again, because like I said before, if I start saying, yeah, I can do it, but I'll send my mate who's not really interested, there's no point, because they're not going to get what I do. So I'm just happy to just provide me. It depends what you want out of your business, doesn't it? If you want to be like multi-millionaire, then you've got to take the staff on. But if you just want to live a nice, quiet life and be the best you can be at your job, I believe you've got to keep it. Because the more you water it down, the passion gets less and less and less and less.
What happens if you get sick?
That's something we can touch on later in the business, because it doesn't matter if I get sick in terms of income, because I've been savvy by taking out critical illness cover, sick pay, private healthcare. So if I do get ill or sick, I'm going to be back quicker, as long as it's not too serious or whatever. So I've got that side of things covered. But yeah, from an actual gardening point of view, I'd be kind of up the creek or whatever without a paddle.
And do you see yourself in the future employing any staff, or do you always plan to keep it just yourself?
No, I think just the way the government are with the national insurance contributions and pensions and everything like that, it doesn't encourage anybody to take staff on, because you end up paying more out than you actually. Yeah, it's if they're off, you've got their workload to do, and then if they have a kid, you got to pay maternity. I don't know, obviously companies do, but that's just not something I want to get into.
What challenges or obstacles did you face in the early days, and how did you overcome them?
The first one, from first to setting up when I was 17, went to the bank. So I want to buy a van, I want to buy some tools. Oh, sorry, like we don't really lend to 17-year-olds. Like, even though it's like 2,000. I mean, like now when you kind of made it in the business world, $2,000 doesn't seem like a lot, but for a bank, you think, oh, well, that's pence. Why are you not going to take a chance? But they won't. So then they said, what you can do is apply to, as I mentioned before, the Princess Youth Business Trust, which is Prince Charles. So that's how I ended up. So that was my first obstacle, was finance. So once that was sorted, the next obstacle was getting up out of bed. Because like I said, being 18, I didn't want to get up. So I overcome that obstacle by just 2004, just knuckled down, just had a bit of a problematic relationship, and that brought down. And I just thought, no, do you know what? I'm going to concentrate on my work now. And I worked 104 days all through the summer, every day, non-stop. And by the time I'd finished that kind of stretch, I looked at the bank and I was like, I've never seen that amount of money before. So that's when the penny really dropped for me. And I started not letting customers down. So for that 5-year period, the obstacle was just keeping... Because it's difficult when you're self-employed. You got to work at a company where there's 10 of you in the office. You're all getting along, going out for drinks after work. You keep each other motivated. Whereas when you're working on your own...
It can be quite lonely as well.
Yeah, exactly. So you're working on your own, raining outside, you're weeding and absolutely wet through. You've got to get motivated for that. So sometimes you struggle.
I always found, so if you have a week's work, you're lazy one day and you say, I can't be bothered doing that. Well, then that one day's work has to be done the following day, and you start to let people down left, right, and centre, and that's where it all falls down. So procrastinating is the biggest death nail to any small business, really. Not getting up and doing the work.
Yeah. So that was the biggest obstacle. Other obstacles is, like you say, just not letting people down in terms of like when if you really have a day off, you will then catch up. But you can easily do it, and that's just not growing. You can only grow as big as you can get. It's like, I could do a video tomorrow and it sells 1 million bottles of feed. I can't fulfill the orders, so I don't want a video that's going to go viral overnight because I can't fulfill them. So you've got to grow organic with what you're capable of doing. So you're branching out, taking staff on, so you can increase your workload. But for me, I've got to keep it really tight on what I do and
steady.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
slow and steady wins the day.
With you said over the summer you worked like over 150 days straight. Did you feel any burnout doing that? Or
no, because I was 25. I was refereeing at the time. I was like quite a good football referee. So I was in the peak of my years then. So it didn't bother me at all. And I was doing so many different jobs. I was doing patios for people, just turning up. They were saying like, "Oh, can you do decking?" And I was like, I'd never done a decking job in my life, never done anything like that. I was saying, yeah, I can do it, and I did it, and I just learned on the job and just did it. I never took on anything too like difficult in terms of like triangles and levels. But if they said they just wanted a square deck outside the back patio, I'd take it on and do it. And in those days you couldn't go on and watch YouTube videos. You just had to learn as you went along and just ask the woodyard what to do and things like that. But so I think some of the jobs are still there that I did 20 years ago.
Well, totally winged.
But yeah, it can be a difficult thing to keep going 104 days working straight, because if you get, like I say, a little injury or you're doing a patio and you hit your finger with a mallet, it can mean you can't do certain jobs.
You need your time off as well. You need a downtime.
Yeah, I was refereeing and I overdid it in the training. I mean, thighs were absolutely killing me, and warmed up for one gig I was playing football as well, and I was in goal and I went down to save a shot and my left thigh muscle tore. I was in agony, so I got into it final. So we were like, I've got to carry on. So another shot came in, went down, the other one went. I remember the next day I had to knock on customers' door and say, I can't do any weeding today, I can't kneel down. So that's the thing, you've got to keep yourself fit. So you can't do anything stupid as well, like in business as well when you're self-employed. A lot of people, anything I say you need to get extra insurance for, hobby-wise, somebody self-employed shouldn't be doing. Like I know a landscaper who did Howard's bleach trees in the back in Chorley, and he was skiing and he broke his shoulder. Self-employed landscaper. His income was the only income.
No work for 4 months.
Exactly. Well, it was more. It was more than that.
I think even.
And I wanted to strangle him.
I think even like you're saying with like hobbies that you need insurance for, but like before I joined Robbie, I was playing rugby, and then since seeing the injuries that happen, I was just like, I can't risk it.
When you used to work for a company before, you were covered with sick pay. And maybe Robbie probably covers you for sick pay, I would have thought. It's not generous guy.
But you need to be mobile though, even if it's a little niggle. You can't.
If you go in sitting at an office job, if you got a broken leg, it don't matter. Yeah. But if you're working out doing the lawn scarifying, you need both your arms and your shoulders working for raking up. You need your legs for mowing. You can't have any injuries.
Need someone there to do the work.
And it's just learning what your body can cope with and not doing too much. which I've done now.
Back to the early days, you get motivated. You've seen that money in the bank account. And that's whatever changed, and you would have been a bit older as well. So
yeah. So I was like 18 when I started. So 25 onwards. Then it was just keep doing what I was doing. Met the future wife in 2006. So I was just working just to fund the lifestyle. Not a lavish lifestyle at all, but being self-employed and gardening. There's only so much.
We were talking about in the way down. You were saying you wanted to touch on whenever you're self-employed, it's very easy to spend that money that
that was an obstacle that I first faced, because when you're 18 and all you add in your life was your paper money and some pocket money from your mum and dad, and then you're doing like 1,500 quid jobs, and then they're paying you, and then you go in, I've got 1,500 quid here, I'll go and spend that, and then what I'll do is that bill's not due for 30 days. By the time 30 days is up, I'll have earned some more money. So eventually it catches up with you because I didn't stop doing that. I was still spending the money I was getting. And then end of the year, it was like, yours 1,500 quid down. I was like, well, I've not got it. Because I spent. So there was a lot
And the tax man as well.
You end up taking loans to pay them. And that was one of my issues, was that my first 10 years of me in business, debt was just something I lived with. And it's just stupid because my mum and dad split up and my dad left. I didn't really have anybody to stop me.
Nobody to guide you.
Yeah. So it was just getting stuff on HP, just because it was easy. Just go down to Curry's and you just say, "Oh, I'll have that computer." Using it, you're going to say, "I'll use it for the business," but then you end up playing Championship Manager on it. But you're just like, yeah, 30 quid a month. It's not a lot because I'm earning this, but then you're not factoring in, like in those days, weather was different. September came, I might put more away because there was.
It was wetter, it was colder.
Yeah. There was no mowing after September because you couldn't get none in the gardens.
Have you noticed
so for 5 months, no income.
Have you noticed a big change in the weather?
Oh, massive, yeah. I think in the last 25 years, it used to be March. When I first did that letter drop on the estate where called the Galactic Lawn is, March, I first started, my first day was March 17th. My mum drove to see us at work and I was absolutely boiling, sweltering. And that was the norm. But then, and we had really wet Aprils. April used to be a write-off. And September, you'd finish. But now, we're not getting going till May. Like last year, March and April were freezing. But
I think
October, November, it's blue skies. Some days in December, I'm working with a T-shirt on.
We have a test patch grown outside and we planted seed in December and it's grown.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind. Now,
yeah.
It has been covered with the fleece. But
so in another 25 years, I think we'll be still mowing on Christmas because it'll have just changed that much. I don't think we'll be working then, maybe. We'll be fertiliser.
What does your business look like today compared to when you started?
It's just totally different. I don't do weed. I mean, I do a bit of weeding for people, but pruning a little bit, but not on the level that I used to do. That is like totally kind of gone now. And I've just moved into the fertiliser side of things and enjoy the change of being out in the cold all the time or in the rain. To just be saying today, it doesn't matter if I don't go out and cut right now because it's chucking it down because I've got orders to fulfill or a YouTube video to do or edit. So there's just a nice change from being full on because it got to the point where your week's full with 50, 60 customers saying you're mowing them all. And you just feel like it's just a case of getting your mower out, putting it back in, and you get to the end of the day and you just slam the mower to the back of the van because you're just like, God's sake, I've got that out 12 times now. So it's just nice not to have that rushing around trying to get everybody in before the weekend.
How much have you cut your customers down as your YouTube channel is?
I think at the height of customers.
Hang on, just before we get any further, do you want to talk about your YouTube channel? Because we haven't really talked about it. So you're on a YouTube channel. He's actually one of my competitors.
Yeah, but
Daniel Hibbert,
we always
expert.
say we're not competitors because if the chances are once they've finished watching one of yours or they've finished watching one of mine, they'll go and watch one of yours. So
100%.
We're helping each other out by promoting each other.
100%. So Daniel has a very successful YouTube channel and you've managed to grow it into several businesses or at least two businesses.
Yeah, so basically, we set off doing the video, like the YouTube channel, like we said 7 years ago, and then I parked it. And then in lockdown, I just heard somebody on the radio, Ben Foster, the old goalkeeper, and he was just saying he got into it and he was making some revenue out of it. So I was like, I'm looking now to look towards my future in terms of I'm not going to be able to keep up shoveling 20 ton off a driveway every day. So I've got to start coming up with new ways. So I just thought, well, I'll do some videos because I'm good at what I do and I want to teach people because it's easy. Lawn care can be easy if you want it to be. So I just got my camera out on my phone and just started putting it on people's bins and just started filming. And then I ended up with like 200 subscribers and then it just grew through I just came in slightly after lockdown. So I missed that rush that I think you kind of took advantage of. You kind of rode the wave.
There was a tidal wave I rode.
Yeah, you rode the tidal wave. I got the little bit that it's the beach as it comes in. So so we've got like 50,000, almost 50,000 now, 48,000, 233. No one's counting. But I think with the YouTube channel, I don't think it rewards loads of subscribers because I think there's people in America who have 250,000 subscribers, and last year my videos did miles better than theirs. So I don't think it's just a prestigious thing, isn't it? Everybody wants that brass plate or whatever it is.
From my understanding about subscribers, whenever you post a video onto YouTube, subscribers used to be a really big metric. Whenever each individual person opened their YouTube app, it just to show you the stuff that your subscribers that you subscribe to, just to show that to you first. But these days, whenever you open YouTube, it shows you the homepage and it puts the content in front of you that it thinks you would like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I noticed that.
With subscribers, whenever a piece of content gets put in front of you, that's called an impression. So the more subscribers you have, the more chances you're going to have impressions on that homepage. So although it's still important, it's not as relevant as it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, because I've done videos which have got 500,000, but it's not really had that many, it's had more impressions than ones that haven't done that.
Yeah.
But like an American lawn care channel, he's got 250,000. Like I said, last year his videos didn't do half as well as mine.
YouTube can always
I think you've got to keep yourself relevant. I don't want to start going out there using big fancy tractors because the homeowner can't do that. So I become irrelevant to that person. So I think sometimes you just got to keep it. There is obviously there's sometimes you've got to mix things up. But I think the minute you stop engaging because the customer says, well, I've not got that. My ethos has always been, of the YouTube channel, I only use what most people have in the shed. Not everybody has a petrol scarifier, I get that, but there's other ways and means to do it.
I'm going to say I took a wee bit of a chance myself by quitting the golf course content, which is incredibly niche.
Yeah.
It'd be very easy. A lot of people said to me at the start, this isn't, I'm never going to use it.
No, first of all, I'm never
going to use that for my lawn, but it's actually turned into a separate little niche on my channel.
I think there's a niche for everything. There's just a video for everyone, and it's just finding that right audience. And if hopefully YouTube pushes it to that, but sometimes it doesn't, and you put your heart and soul into that one video you think is going to do really well, and it flops,
doesn't.
And then you turn up at a job, no intention of filming, and just go, you know what, I'll film this, and you rush it, you don't put any effort into it, and it gets like 200,000 views, and you're like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's YouTube.
But the business now looks like, so we've done the YouTube channel, and without the YouTube channel I wouldn't have the other business because it's free advertising.
So for the viewers that don't know you, what's your other business and how's that panned out?
So the lawn care as a whole, it's called Daniel Hibbert Lawn Expert. So I've got the YouTube channel which shows you how to do it, and then I was just on one job and I'd just come up with this concoction that I'd put together, and because I was documenting this lawn that wasn't really doing well, and I sprayed this stuff on, and I went back the next day and it was just like I'd relayed a new lawn overnight. And because I documented it, people said, like, oh, what is it? Can I have some? So I bought 100 bottles off internet, 100 little bottles, a thermal printer. Sold that 100 bottles overnight at $7.99 a bottle. So I just took that £800, like 700, well, a bit less because you pay your fees and whatever. Bought some more bottles, some more products, some more labels. And now it's grown into, I've got like maybe 25 different products there in terms of sizes and everything. But yeah, so it's just grown beyond. I never imagined it to get to where it has done. I didn't think it would be a different life-changing job. Because not only now am I doing the jobs, I'm working in an office as well. So it's nice to experience, because you're the same, Jason. You've worked in the office and now you're working outside.
Yeah.
So I've done my bit out in the rain now. You can take that mantle from me. And
so these days you've cut away the jobs that you didn't like are the ones that are really hard graft.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, when you've had your customers for as long as I have. I mean, I've had like the Galactic Lawn. That's 26 years I've been there this year. So it's not, even if I didn't like the job, it's the people. So you've got an affinity to the people who give you the start at the beginning. I don't be dirty on anybody. Like if somebody's nice to you at the start, I don't forget that. And people helping me with setting up the business when it wasn't big, when I was just doing it myself, they give me extra credit terms. And who I get my grass seed from, he said, I'll just get it, don't worry. I said, I can't afford to have 500 bags sat there. He says, I'll get them, I'll pay for them, and when you need 50, you just let us know and we'll deliver them. So you just need little people, just
helping you out every now and again.
People like that, and you never, and they don't want money in between. It's not like, oh, I'll pay extra. They don't want that. They just want you to do, some people out there do actually want you to do well.
Whenever I first started up the lawn treatment service, a local landscaper who did high-end work contacted me and says, look, I hear you do a really good job. I want you to look after my customers. So the type of customer that he gave me. Now, this was back whenever there was a full-on recession here, and that customer had spent £100,000 on his garden. And then Trevor brought me in, Trevor Ford Landscapes, just to give him a wee shout out. He brought me in as the as his gardener. Now
Yeah.
I came in after him, and he didn't take a lead fee from it. He just says, "Look, Robbie, I want those jobs done right," and I've always really appreciated that.
Yeah.
Because back then it was a struggle.
Yeah. I mean,
It's amazing sometimes that.
Oh, well, I mean,
people
like,
do
we're
for
getting
you.
back to, how, like, with the business, the best, you can advertise all you like, but the best form of advertising is word of mouth. And how do you get word of mouth? And that's from doing a good job.
I still have gardens that he recommended me.
Yeah.
Been in them, like yourself, I've been in them for a long time.
Yeah. And even though, like, sometimes with some of the gardens, like, I am like, do you know what? It is getting a bit much, this, because it's quite a way to come just for £15, because they're a couple of, like, elderly people that have had it quite a while. But you just go, well, you know what? They rely on, they don't trust. For some customers, it's all about trust, and they don't want to learn to kind of trust somebody else. So you just got to give back, not ditch everybody just because you've had a bit of success.
Yes, there's a couple of customers I can think of that we go out of our way to, that have been with me for a long time. I don't want to give up because, like you say, they've been good to me, and you sort of feel like they're quite elderly now, and you're like, well, they're going to have to find someone else and all the rest. We'll just look after them until...
Yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with looking after the ones who help you out in the beginning.
100%.
So what has been the most rewarding part of running a business that helps people with lawn care?
Oh, it's just great to know that because I think every man is born with a gene that has him wanting lawn stripe. I really do think that. It's just a quintessential thing that a man kind of wants in his life is a striped lawn, and not many people know how to do it. So just people who've wanted it and not been able to do it, and then suddenly watched a few vids and they've got what they wanted. That's
Do you know,
their best
going to
feeling.
say that it's a very British thing. Whenever I travel down Ireland, below the border, there's very few lawns that are striped up. A lot of lawn care, they don't really seem to be in their lawn cares much down there.
Yeah.
But here, and in England, Scotland, Wales, everyone just loves striped lawns.
Yeah, I think we've got like Wimbledon tennis to thank for that, because obviously
Golf courses.
and I've grown up watching that, so that's always been, and the football, obviously, that's always got nice striped lawns. But yeah, I just love it. I just love how it makes me feel when I see a lovely striped lawn.
It's really satisfying.
Yeah, when you just look back and you can see, even if like you see it from afar, or when you mow and you turn around, it's just glistening behind you. It just still to this day just makes me heart skip a beat. So it's rewarding that way. Really. I've made some great friends as well from it, and I'm here obviously as well. The best part of it all, sat in Robbie's tool shed.
I suppose you're saying about the lawn stripes, the amount of people that have asked me now, like, how do you get the stripes in?
Yeah,
and then when you tell them, they're like,
well, it's easy.
Is that really? Is that all it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably people say, "Oh, do you need special mowers, or do you need?" Kind of, but you can do it with a brush.
A few years ago during COVID, I did a video how to stripe your lawn without any fancy tools, and we brushed the lawn.
Use that thing, didn't you? That rubber sweeper.
My dad tied a doormat behind the lawnmower, but we pushed it up and down the lawn. I was pretty rash.
Well, you just got to find what works.
Yeah.
For and then Pete, I've done
FM20 off Instagram. He's forever brushing them. You see him with a brush, and he brushes them up.
Yeah. It's just it is whatever you want it to be. If and one day you'll come up with something that needs a patent.
We'll hopefully get you out on the lawn very shortly. Do a bit of striping and put that to the test.
Yeah. What one thing have you learnt about running a business that you wish you knew from the start?
I suppose I wanted to touch on keeping money aside for tax, because that's not what everybody does, especially when you're self-employed. Because when you're employed, it's just taken it away and you don't have to worry about it. But when you're self-employed, basically 29% of everything you earn belongs to the government. But you've got your tax threshold to deduct off. So 20%. So anybody who's going into business, self-employed, when you get £100, put £20 away. That is the biggest kind of lesson I could teach anybody, is that put aside money for the Prime Minister.
Since the early days, I've always paid myself a set wage. And every week I have that wage regardless of how well the business does. And then there's usually always money set aside.
Yeah.
And if I want to go away on holidays or whatever, then I can dip into that, or come at the end of after paying my tax, well, then I have a bit of a lump sum there and I go, oh, right, we can spend this in the business and I can do A, B, and C in the house.
Yeah. But for people who don't know, if your tax bill's under £1,000, that's all you have to pay. So say it's £900, that's national insurance as well. That's it. But when it's over £1,000, you've got to pay half on top again for next year on the 31st of Jan. And then in July 31st, you've got to pay half again on top. So come next year, you've got that same amount you've just paid on account. In that first year setting up, if you're unlucky enough to kind of breach that threshold, you're a new business.
The first time you get hit with it.
First time is a hit because you're getting double whammied. The next year is fine because you've already got, like, say it's 2.5, and then you paid a £5,000 tax bill, then you've got 2.5 on top. So that first bill's 7.5, and you've got 2.5 in July. It can be quite a lot of money, quite big. And that's why I say at the beginning I didn't do that. So I got to the January 31st, your accountant says you're 1,500. I haven't got it. So that's one thing I wish I'd have known better from. It's just discipline. It's just discipline. It's just
set more money aside.
Yeah, exactly. And what I did do, you can pay in. What I was starting was paying £200 a month in. So you just got something in the pot just to lessen that blow when it comes. But if you're not really savvy with your books, no, because you just work we're not accountants. We're just workers. But the government expect you to be accountants as well. And with your books, so you're just earning all the time, and then you're paying bills, this and the other, and you get to the end of Jan and you get a shock. Or sometimes you get a rebate, which both ways. Sometimes you've overpaid. But most of the time...
It doesn't happen too often. So a lot of time, in the early days as well, which I still do as well, I have a set amount that I have, like a working capital, and any savings I have, I put it into the savings account, and then whenever it comes to tax time, I can pay that, all the rest. And I find that works really well for me, having the two accounts, and then you don't think, because you have your main account, and you see all that money, and you're like, oh, I'm going to spend this, I'm going to buy this till, I'm going to buy that till, and like you say, then come the end of the year, then you don't have enough.
Yeah, because you need contingencies, because if your mower breaks down, and it's not going to be fixed for 6 weeks, because they can't get the part or something, like in the old days, these mowers I used to use, because they were cheap, they didn't have parts, and it was like, well, I'm going to buy a new one, where am I going to pull 450 quid from? But I didn't have a contingency, so just have different accounts and just have different bits of money going in, and then you can just take from that without having to touch your main account. It's just good business sense, but again, I mustn't have paid, when I went on that business course, I mustn't have paid attention that much. They probably covered it, but
they skip. The trouble is as well, because they skip over so much stuff, and then you don't really pay attention to the stuff that you probably should.
Yeah, I just have a problem where it's in any walk of life, in terms of when somebody's talking to me, I just kind of end up drifting off into my own little world. And
sorry, what we said?
Then I come back down to it, and I come back round, and I'm like, he's just been talking to me for 5 minutes, and I've not took him one word of what he said. So then I have to ask somebody else, what's he just said?
So what keeps you motivated to keep evolving the business?
For me, it's before the YouTube channel. Like I said, difficult, but you just got to think, well, I've got a family to feed, so that's your main motivation, is just keep the bills paid. But now it's the subscribers keep you motivated, because they keep messaging you saying, when's your next video? So you've got a purpose to keep doing the videos, and that for me is the main motivation to keep doing it. Nothing to do with selling or anything. I just want the people to keep watching videos, because I actually enjoy.
It gets really addictive making YouTube videos.
I enjoy making them. I enjoy showing the process. I enjoy showing my skill set and watching people send me photos saying this was my lawn before and this is it now. I wouldn't be able to do it without you, and that's just,
I'm going to send you,
that's the great feeling.
You'll probably identify with it as well, because we both have Facebook groups, and the photos that some people post on their lawns are totally blown away.
Yeah. And I'm like,
people talk about that, you're like, holy moly.
Well, I've got some, and I'm like, that's not one. I'll go like, that's not one of my gardens, like, but it just looks like one of my lawns. And sometimes I'm like, bloody hell, I'm best watching over my shoulder here. I think I'm teaching people too well. But there's always somebody who can do it. There's always somebody somewhere who can do it better, I would think. But
some people just take it to the whole next level. Like,
Yeah, I've got a friend who you've met, Josh, who was ex-footballer, professional, but in the lower leagues. And he's just set up his own lawn care business because of what he's seen me do. And some of the pictures he's sending me, because he looks after Pooltown Football Club and this Bowling Green and Yeovil Cricket Club. And they're better than what I'm producing. So he's got something, and he's probably got what I've got, and he could end up eclipsing like my work, which I didn't think was possible. But fair play, there's always somebody out there who can do it better. We can work cheaper.
So just seeing the results from your work really just motivates you and
I love
the
it.
community itself.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like waiting for like an orchid to evolve. Obviously, like people wait around for years to see an orchid evolve, and it opens for 24 hours and then it dies. And that's very similar in the lawn care game. We spend all March, April, May getting it ready, and then we've got June, July, August, 3 months of really keeping it nice. And then as the weather gets cooler and the nights growing, just starts to fade, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
But then you just get motivated. I mean, it's hard work. I do find it difficult when I've been off for so, like in December, not really doing much lawn care. January, I tend to have off these days. But then going from 0 to 60 overnight.
It's amazing. It just goes from here.
Yeah.
It goes from here. It's really quiet. January, February. March, it picks up a bit. And then April, it's just like here.
Yeah, so you do it. You're just basically just cutting lawns. And then suddenly it's like, right, scarifying. So you're going from sitting around doing not much to scarifying, raking, picking up, lugging bags around, shoveling stuff, and you're building up your match fitness. But that first month, and the harder, the older I'm getting, the harder I'm finding it to come out of my warm living room and get out in the cold.
You'll be singing about staff very soon. What advice would you give someone looking to turn their passion into a business?
The two different things. So doing it as a Sunday gardener is different than running a business because you've got to be on it. And one thing that I wouldn't do is try and grow too quick because you can only do so much work. There's only so much you can do. And the one thing you've got to be able to do when you get to it is be able to say no. That's the biggest thing you've got to be able to do. And you need a thick skin, and the customers need to have a thick skin. But if you say yeah, and then you let them down, word soon gets around that, oh, you let me down him.
No's the most important word for a self-employed person.
Yeah. Because if you know you can't do it, just say no, and the customer will say, oh, go on, it's just a small garden. Most of the times they're just saying it's a small garden to get you there. And then when you get there, it's like a field, and you're like, it's not small. It was small from where I used to live. And you're like, well, that's not what it is. So you just got to say, I'm great now. I'll just say, I can't, sorry. And sometimes you just got to you got to be rude and turn around and walk away. But you're doing them a favour in the long run. Because if you're doing it as a passion and maybe a bit on the side and you've got a job, obviously there's going to become a time where there's maybe a conflict of interest because the gardening or the lawn care is bigger than your full-time job, and then you've got decisions to make. Do you leave the full-time job, leave the pension behind, and this, that, and the other? So you've got to know what you want to do, really, because you can jump ship and then think it's not for you once it starts raining, and snowing, and then you've got all these customers and you've no job.
It's very easy as well. I was a greenkeeper for 20 years, and the amount of people said to you, oh, you have the best job in the world because you're out in a nice hot sunny day. But whenever you're out there in the pissing rain and it's snowing and the weather's beating down on you and you're out regardless of the weather, then all of a sudden it's completely different. Yeah,
and you've been used to a nice cushy wage coming in at the end of the month, and then suddenly you haven't got that. It can be quite daunting if you've got a big you've got a nice big family and a big mortgage.
Yeah, how do you pay for the wife and kids?
Yeah, so you've got to really be kind of in it.
So the way you've got your business, you're doing it so it's just you.
Yeah.
So later on in life, are you going to focus on YouTube and the selling products and then dial down the outdoor work? Is that where you see it?
Yeah, it's just one of them, isn't it? You just got to, the body tells you. Like when I'm shoveling lawns in or lawns out and then putting a new one in, and like 10, 20 years ago, it's fine, no problem. But now I look at a job and I go, nah. So kind of just listening to your body, and that's the main thing. And just, I think what I'll do is, that'll be like the guiding thing. But then obviously, if the YouTube gets bigger and people want more videos, then you do that. And people's plans always change. So like, I didn't think I was going to lose Sheet Job this year. I thought I had that for life because they've always said they'll stay there till they get carried out in wooden boxes. But this year they decided to change. So that frees up a bit of time for either more YouTube, or I could take on another customer if it's the right one. So I think obviously just as I get older, I'm not going to be able to do the same physical work. So I think that will be the thing that ebbs out first. And then, who knows, YouTube, you just never know. Like, YouTube could get banned tomorrow. If YouTube gets banned tomorrow.
If YouTube get banned tomorrow.
If YouTube gets banned tomorrow, we're a lot of
I suppose
people,
it's like TikTok, yeah.
Again, are up the creek with no boat or a paddle.
As well, you're very similar to myself, that the content is the gardening, the work you do for other people, that is the content for YouTube. So in a certain degree, you have to do that work regardless.
It can be quite... when the weather's bad and you've got to put a video out, or you feel like you've got to put a video out because you've got this like subliminal pressure from people who aren't even pressurizing you, but you just been doing it for so long and you just think people are expecting. It becomes an expectation level built up in your own mind of what you've got to do. And if you don't put a video out, people might not actually bother, but finding the weather to do the stuff as well can be quite tricky.
I used to stress myself out just to put out a video every Friday without fail. And then it was either Friday or Sunday. But then I realised that you're just better making the content whenever you can.
Yeah.
If you don't put one out, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No one...
Well, I always found my videos did better on a Monday at 6 o'clock. If I put them out Monday 6 o'clock, they'll do better than if I put them out on a Tuesday at 6 o'clock. And you've got to think about what's on. If Coronation Street's on, people ain't going to watch you, or, well, they might do, but people are going to watch other things ahead of you. So got to find that right time. And YouTube gives you certain things. It will say like, oh, your videos are best successful at this time. So you do it at that time and it flops. So I think sometimes it reels you in with a lot of rubbish.
Weirdly with the shorts, especially for this channel, I just publish them usually at 12 o'clock because that's whenever because they're all scheduled. And they do just as well as if they pick a certain time. If I pick like a normal time that one of my other videos would go out, they all just do the same anyway.
Yeah.
They all just do the same anyway. So YouTube actually say that it doesn't matter when it goes out, but they also, whenever you publish a video, any bit of social media works like this. Whenever you post a video or a bit of content on Facebook, YouTube will put that in front of a certain number of people and it'll test that audience.
Right.
How long they watch it for, how long they stay engaged. If they don't watch it, if they click on the video and they go, this is no interest to me, and they click off, then it doesn't show it to as many people. But if they engage with it, they watch it for longer, or if they share it, then it shows it to more people, and that's how it grows.
Yeah, because I remember seeing one of your videos, and it wasn't a similar video that I did, but I'd done one, and it got like 2,500 views in the first hour. You did one, and I thought, you got 2,500 views here in the same hour, so we're level playing field here. And then mine got to 10 stopped, just died. And I went on yours next day. It had 400,000 views.
But I might have put that video out the following week and it might not have done so well.
Yeah, but it was just like, what?
It really just depends who's in front and what YouTube decide to promote that given
But if we've
day.
both had 2,500 views after an hour, surely we've hit the same threshold to go like that, but you did and I didn't. And I was like...
But it's a worldwide audience, so it's a worldwide audience. So my video might have been about something slightly different, and then it's showing it to other people that have, we think we are the same niche, but if we put out same video or same time, but yours might be about something different, and then it depends again who YouTube show that to.
Yeah, well, what we'll have to do is
you can't game it.
We'll have to come up with the same video, same same thing, same theme, same process or whatever, post at exactly the same time.
What plans do you have next for the business? Do you have any big projects on the horizon?
I think this year we've got a couple of lawns being dug up and we're redoing them just because they're 10, 12 years old now, so they're just time for a refresh and just rejigging the area. Just sometimes you just need to be remotivated for a garden just by doing something to it. So I think we're going to do that. Product wise, just maybe got one or two more coming out, which will be good in terms of just another. But then there's not much more I can kind of bring out. So it's just bringing out, just like technology. They bring out a new iPhone. You just need to bring out a new product to keep people interested, and so that's it. There's nothing major at all because, like I said, I don't want to grow too big, too fast, or anything like that. Just consolidate where I am. If I can keep where I am right now, I'm happy because there's no stress. It's enjoyable. I think what you don't want to do is get to a point where you hate it. Like the day I wake up and I think, like, I really don't want to film today. I think that would be sad. That'd kind of know when you're done, and I think doing too much and having too much on the go.
Very easy to get yourself, especially if you haven't filmed in a wee while and you're really busy. I'm not going to bother filming.
It's like anything. It's like if you don't go to the gym,
you can fall over really quick. Yep.
So you need to keep going to keep yourself in it. And that sometimes can be tricky as well if you just got other things on and orders are flying out and things ain't going well and just all kinds of anomalies really. With the weather, mainly weather is what the main thing that stops you doing anything because you've got big plans and then chucks it down, you can't do it, and then your window's gone for what the video you wanted to do or the time you wanted to put it out, and might be a week before you do it, and somebody else has put one out about that in the meantime. So it's
Yeah.
Dog eat dog out there.
How do you see the lawn care industry changing and evolving, and what are your plans for the future?
I think generally, I don't think anything's going to change in the actual grass side of things. I don't think they're going to suddenly AstroTurf's going to take off or anything like that. But obviously, there's a push towards electric now with the mowers, so that's obviously going to change. But still, we're at the point where it's not feasible for a company who cuts grass and relies on an engine because there isn't enough battery power to last all day. And for what they cost to what it costs to kit your van out with all the battery charges and that, it's just not, you would never see your money back. Because if you're doing cutting and pruning and all this, you might do, but because I think it's CJ Gardens, he's got all his van kitted out. He's got more batteries in there than a Porsche Taycan. But for him, the investment must have been worth it. So I think that side of things, I think electric will come, but it's not going to like take over. And there's a lot of people doing the YouTube now as well, they think it's easy. So we'll see if we're watered down too much, because like we said before, we want people watching because we all watch each other. But
I actually think, in terms of YouTube, I don't think there can be enough channels, because the more content there is, the greater the appeal it is.
Yeah.
And it pulls more people in. So having more channels is better than...
Like, you're trained, I'm trained, but you end up with people coming in who aren't, spreading disinformation, spreading bad information, not saying the right things. And then people go like, oh, well, I'll take that for gospel. And then that's not fair. If I came into their job and started telling people how to do theirs, they go, hang on, but you're not, you've never done this. You're a turf guy. Why are you telling me how to paint a wall? Oh, well, I just do it. So that's one thing I hope doesn't take over. Because that is one of my bare bugs, is that stick to your day job and don't start in court, because it's, people believe what people hear, and then they start questioning you. They say, well, he says you've got to do this way. It's like, yeah, but he's a painter and decorator or something like that. But he doesn't really know what he's on about.
There's usually more ways to do tasks as well.
Yeah, but just things that are not to be done are being told to be done, and people are wasting money. My whole ethos is that people say, oh, why don't you use fescue seed? Because it's so difficult to keep it alive and to keep it in trim. It's a professional job. If people are going putting turf in, which is fescue bent lawn, it's not going to survive. They're not going to be able to look after it, and it's cost an arm and a leg. And people are saying, "Oh, do it," and then they're going to spend thousands of pounds.
100% agree with you, because bent fescue lawns, most customers don't appreciate the work that it's going to take to keep that lawn.
Yeah, so it looks great when it turns up, but in a month down the line, when you spend $2-3 grand. And then it's like, well, what now? It's got disease. It's like, well, I told you, this is why I promote ryegrass.
Takes a couple of years for it to get going, but after it gets going,
and you've got to scarify it every week to keep it down. Ryegrass. So people think, like, oh, you're just trying to sell ryegrass. I'm not. I want you to have a nice lawn, and that's the best way. If you want a nice lawn most of the year, easy, that's what you want to do, and it looks the best. If you want fescue, quit your job, because that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a full-time job, this, to keep it nice.
I've two questions for you, just as we go to wrap up. Number one, you mentioned refereeing.
Yeah.
Tell us a wee bit about that. How you got involved with refereeing?
Again, it was a similar story to the YouTube. I started when I was 17, but I was just so weak in the mind in terms of giving decisions and people shouting at me at the crowd. I didn't carry on with it. It was the worst thing. I think if I'd have carried on when I was 17, I'd have made. I think I'd be in the. I'll never know, but from what I was like in my 20s, but because 2004 came, I thought I wasn't getting anywhere with football, like in terms of playing. I thought, what's the next best thing to referee again? So I got back into it because I was a bit stronger, being self-employed, dealing with customers. So I was a bit more stronger in the mind, and I just got into it. But because I'm outspoken and have no filter, really.
Many days a week do you do the refereeing?
On a Saturday,
how much time does that cost you?
2 games on a Saturday, 2 games on a Sunday, as well as kind of doing
what age groups?
Started off with just doing like under 14s, under 15s, and then that was 2004, and then November 2004, started doing adults. Gave 5 penalties in my first adult game. That didn't go down too well. But again, it was just, if I'd have stuck at it, I really think I'd have made it. But in the refereeing world, it's very old fashioned. It's speak when spoken to in the refereeing world, and you have to sacrifice your personality, and that wasn't something I was willing to do. So I gave it up.
Do you think, but that gave you the sort of bit of maturity then to help grow the business? Do you think that helped pull you around?
But I think it helps you with dealing with people, because when somebody's running at you, effing and jeffing at you, you've got to be able to calm them down and talk to them and most of the time I was good at that. So when you're dealing with customers, when I was 18, I was turning up to people who were multimillionaires. Never seen drives like it. The drives were like runways, and they're coming out and with neckties on and stuff, and you're dealing with them. At first, I was always like, I didn't know what to say. But then, when you start dealing with people, referee, it's a great skill to have in man management, and then you can speak to these higher up in society with a bit more confidence.
Yeah, on the same level, not
Yeah, definitely.
So tell me this, what are your exit plans for the business? Do you have any exit plans?
My exit plan will be, I love work, so it'll probably be, like I said before about the sheep job, it'll be in a banana kind of wicker basket, I think.
They will find you under a bit of fleece sometime.
Yeah. Honestly, when I'm not working,
with a scar fire parked on top of the grave.
Yeah, exactly. If I can't work, I'm bored, because we spend all our time working. We don't really leave ourselves with anything to do with the downtime.
I can identify with that.
So I'll just work till I can't physically work anymore. Yeah. So I enjoy it. I really do. I enjoy it.
Whenever you find something you enjoy, you never have to work a day.
Exactly. When people say to me, "Well, you got work, or what do you do for work?" I never say it like, "Oh, I don't." It sounds a bit cliched on it. Oh, I don't work. It's a hobby. But yeah, we have as a job what most people. Walking's Britain's biggest pastime, and I think gardening's the second. So we've got as a job what.
Cool. Hopefully I'm going to see those nice stripes out in the lawn very shortly.
Yeah, let's get to it.
Thank you very much for coming.
No worries. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.